Number of patients tested positive for COVID-19 in Sri Lanka rises to 10. Minister Bandola Gunawardena hints about a change of prices of essential goods.
වෙන සතිය බදාදා ඉතර වෙනකොට සමහර අත්‍යවශ්‍ය භාණ්ඩ වල මිල දැන් තියෙන මිලටත් වඩා අඩු වෙනවා.
Travel restrictions imposed on more foreign nations. Sri Lanka Port Authority on alert. Decision reached to cancel all Sunday masses for 2 weeks in all Catholic churches in the Archdiocese of Colombo and Diocese of Chilao. Leader of the Samagi Janabala Vegaya, Sajit Premadasa, says a conspiracy is in place to stall progress of the new political movement. 141st Battle of the Blues cricket encounter between Royal College Colombo and St. Thomas's College Mount Lavinia ends in a draw.
A very good evening to all our viewers and welcome to Primetime News coming to you live from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. Now, coronavirus continue to make headlines as new patients are detected the world over, including Sri Lanka. To give us an in-depth analysis on the situation of the coronavirus here at home and the world over, we're joined by Newsfirst Azra Azan. Azra?
Yes, thank you, Arundhati. A very good evening to you and a very good evening to all our viewers. The number of patients tested positive for COVID-19 or well known as the coronavirus rose to 10 today. Now the latest were the 48-year-old, the 8th patient in Sri Lanka who arrived from Italy is currently receiving treatment at the Kandakadu Quarantine Centre in Polonnaruwa. Another 56-year-old and a 17-year-old have also been tested positive for COVID-19 in Sri Lanka. The 56-year-old female returned to the country from Italy and the 17-year-old female has been identified as relative of an already confirmed COVID-19 patient. However, it is important to note that the initial patient, the Chinese national who was in Sri Lanka, who received treatment and returned back home, is not included in the 10 patients that we have here in Sri Lanka currently receiving treatment. With all of these going on in the country, when there are so many developments taking place when it comes to the coronavirus, we are all in fear. We are worried, we are afraid if the number will rise, we are afraid if there will be more patients of COVID-19, or most importantly, if we as a country will be able to fight the battle against COVID-19. Can we fight the battle against COVID-19 is the question that we all have in mind. Will we be able to overcome this and move on as a country together? And the answer is yes. We can face this successfully and overcome this disease, the virus that is spreading in the country. Why am I saying this? Only because Sri Lanka faced bigger problems in the past. We have faced bigger calamities in the past. And if we come together as a nation, if we hold hands and think that we should not move forward with any divisions anymore, if we come together as a nation, we will be able to overcome this situation. What is the current situation in the country? The Director General of Health Services, Dr. Anil Jasinger, explained.
There were 5 COVID-19 patients. A short while ago, 2 more people were tested positive for the disease. One of them is a 44-year-old who has been undergoing quarantine in Kandakadu yesterday. A person who had arrived in Italy is receiving treatment at the Polonnaruwa General Hospital. The other patient is a 43-year-old. He had arrived from Italy and had been in Nathandia. He was not undergoing quarantine. He is being treated at the Kurunagala Hospital. Through this, we can observe that 6 out of the 7 patients have come from Italy. Further, we can also observe that this disease has reached the country from Italy. 2 people had been in quarantine at Kandakadu had contracted the disease while in Italy. As they could have not boarded a flight from Milano, they had travelled around 800 miles to board a flight from another area. They had not controlled their fever by consuming paracetamol and had not notified anyone regarding this. Therefore, there is a danger concerning the Kandakadu quarantine centre. There are about 16 people who had travelled with these patients in a bus from the Katunaika airport. They had stayed close to each other while protesting at the airport. They had been in close proximity to each other even at the quarantine centre. That is the danger. The army is taking the necessary steps to quarantine these 16 people separately.
The
Ministry of Health said 103 persons have been hospitalized upon suspicion of having contracted the disease. 35 of them are under the watch of the National Institute of Infectious Diseases. This includes a foreign national as well. One person is being treated at the Colombo General Hospital, while 6 are receiving treatment at the Ragama Teaching Hospital. This includes another foreign national. The number of patients receiving treatment at the Karapiti Hospital is 8. 16 individuals are being treated at the Kurunegala Hospital, while 4 have been admitted to the Kandy Hospital. 3 people are under the supervision of the Anuradhapura Hospital, while 2 are being treated at the Jaffna Hospital. 13 people at the Gampa Hospital, while 16 are at the Nigambo Hospital. 3 suspected cases are being treated at the Ratnapura Hospital, while 2 are at the Badula Hospital. Furthermore, the Health Ministry said that 3 are being treated at the Lady Ridgeway Hospital for children. Meanwhile, 4 Polish nationals suspected to have contracted the virus have been admitted to the National Institute of Infectious Diseases in Angoda. The airport health office said that the 4 Polish nationals had shown symptoms of coronavirus when they were about to board a flight. The health office also said that it had carried out investigations into areas visited by these individuals. Army spokesperson Brigadier Chandana Wickramasinghe said another quarantine centre has been established in Bambai Madu, Vavuniya. In addition to this centre, the quarantine process continues to take place in the quarantine centres established in Diyatalava, the Batiklo campus, Poonani and Kandakadu. These quarantine centres currently accommodate 1,720 individuals who had arrived in the island from foreign nations. The Army said during the quarantine process, the body temperature of these individuals is checked at 8 am, 12 noon and 8 pm daily. If an increase in body temperature is detected in any individual, they will be subject to a medical treatment. Meanwhile, the Health Ministry said local health authorities, together with public health officials and health officers, are keeping a close watch on the 4,794 individuals who had arrived in the island from overseas. Among them are 3,035 Sri Lankans and 1,153 Chinese nationals.
What does it mean when somebody says someone is being quarantined or quarantinee? This is not a word you and I come across on a daily basis. So we spoke to the infectious diseases physician, Dr. Sanjay Senanaik, in this regard for an explanation, and this is what he had to say.
So quarantine is a process where infected people are kept away from non-infected people till the danger of transmitting the infection has passed. That is the principle of quarantine. Now, quarantine can be on a very small scale. So it can be putting one person into isolation, or it can be on a large scale. So as we're seeing with Italy, where the whole country is essentially gone into lockdown. The duration of the quarantine will depend on factors related to the infection, be it a virus or bacteria, how long the incubation period is, that is the time from when you get infected to the time you become sick, to the doubling time, which is how long it takes for the number of people infected to double, and the serial interval, which is the speed of infection. So all those factors will help determine how long a quarantine will be. If you are a contact of a case of COVID-19, then you'll be asked to self-isolate at home for 14 days. That's quarantine. And of course, a very important thing, even though people are quarantined, you want to make sure that there's good information from the government that is being regularly provided to those in quarantine. Otherwise, it's a very scary, debilitating experience, both mentally and physically. So that communication, that ongoing communication from your government is really important. So you know what's happening and you don't feel that you've been abandoned.
The Sri Lanka Medical Research Institution played a pivotal role from the very first day Sri Lanka was battling the COVID-19, or what was then called the coronavirus. So we spoke to Director Specialist of Dr. Jairuwan Bandara. We invited him to our Newsfirst studios here to get an understanding about the current situation in the country.
We have very strong health surveillance system. We have a very responsible 2 officers to each house, like PHI and public health midwife. All the health messages we can send through them to house to house. So that system is strengthened. So wherever we have suspected patient, we can trace through that system. The reason we found some patients from this north area, because we send some people for the quarantine purposes to this Kandakadu. That's why we found patient from that. Otherwise, all the patients we have found in Sri Lanka are people who has direct contact with overseas infected people. Common symptoms when we talk about like common cold, you will feel like runny nose, sore throat, some difficulty in breathing, maybe sneezing, kind of little feverish. Those are the initial kind of symptoms. But if you don't have any kind of suspected incidents, that means you have not contacted a person who had corona. So even though we have some kind of sore throat or sneezing or common cold or runny nose or difficulty in breathing, if you don't have suspected contact history, you no need to worry about this corona. This coronavirus spread through direct contact. That means you have to touch the infection and you have to keep those infections close to your mouth and nose. Keep your hands clean, and if you don't touch your face frequently, you will not introduce this infection to your body. That is the one and only measure people has to do.
It is our personal responsibility to take measures, all possible measures, be it personal hygiene or gathering at public places, to prevent the spread of the COVID-19. What we learned while reporting coronavirus to our viewers was that you have to act like you are a patient of COVID-19. That is when you will take extra precautionary measures just to be very safe. Now there are centers set up in many parts of the country to quarantine suspected cases of COVID-19, and Commander of Sri Lanka Army, Lieutenant General Shavendra Silva, spoke about the current situation of the quarantine centers.
So as of today, we have about 1,700 Sri Lankans and foreigners getting quarantined inside these quarantine centers. We have, out of these numbers, we got 7 foreigners. 5 of them are from Korea, and 2 of them came, other balance 2 came from Iran, but they are not Iranians. One is a Canadian citizen and another one is Australian citizen. So all of them are getting quarantined at this moment.
Meanwhile, a decision has been reached to cancel all Sunday masses for 2 weeks in all Catholic churches in Colombo and Chilao. Now, the decision was announced by Archbishop of Colombo, Cardinal Malcolm Ranjith, this afternoon.
Following discussions with the clerical bodies, we have decided to temporarily suspend church masses until the end of March. Therefore, we wish to request our Catholic brothers and sisters to extend their maximum support to the government in their efforts to combat the virus. Accordingly, we have decided to temporarily suspend such public gatherings until the end of March. We will keep the public informed regarding any update after analysing the situation.
Arrangements have been made to broadcast tomorrow's Mass live from Archbishop's house starting at 7:30 a.m. The Mass, which will be conducted by the Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjith, will be held without the attendance of the public, and this live Mass will broadcast on our sister channel Sirasa TV, Shakti TV, our channel TV1 and Sirasa FM. The government has decided to expand its ban on flights owing to the spread of the coronavirus. Now, during a media briefing at the Department of Government Information, Director General of Health Services, Dr. Anil Jasinghe, had this to say.
The National Committee has decided to extend the ban on flights which was imposed on Iran, South Korea and Italy to the following countries as well. They are France, Spain, Germany, Switzerland, Denmark, Netherlands, Sweden, Austria, Qatar and Bahrain. Yesterday, the chairman of the Aviation Authority informed the airlines to avoid flying passengers from these countries to Sri Lanka. I informed the Secretary to the Ministry of Foreign Relations and the relevant authorities that if anyone comes from these countries, they will be sent for quarantine.
We decided to impose a regulation stating that prior approval must be obtained from the police to conduct mass gatherings. This virus has spread through public gatherings in several countries. There was a slight delay in the quarantine process as a result of the opposition that was raised towards this. During that period, people from Italy and South Korea entered the country. Therefore, we kept them in quarantine at their lodgings. We wish to request the tourists who came from these countries and from China during this period to self-isolate themselves temporarily. This is because the coronavirus patients whom we have identified have contracted the disease from other countries.
පිට රටක ඉඳලා ආපු අය.
මේ වන විටත් මැතිවරණ ප්‍රවර්ධන වැඩසටහන් තැන් තැන්වල පැවැත්වෙනවා. මැතිවරණ ප්‍රචාරක කටයුතු తాවකාලිකව නතර කිරීමට හැකියාවක් තියෙනවා නේද?
මැතිවරණ ප්‍රචාරක කටයුතු.
Election rallies will not be suspended. However, the government will not grant permission for events such as political rallies, which require permits for public gatherings.
රජය විසින් අවසරයක් ලබා දෙන්නේ නැහැ.
ඊ රාත්‍රී විශාල රැස්වීමක් තිබ්බා ගරු අග්‍රාමාත්‍යතුමාගේ ප්‍රධානත්වයෙන් මේ පොලිස් ග්‍රවුන්ඩ් එකේ. අග්‍රාමාත්‍යතුමා එතන ඉඳලා ප්‍රතිඥාවක් දුන්නා. මොකද්ද මන් දන්නේ ඒක ජාතික ආරක්ෂාව පිළිබඳ. ඒගොල්ලෝ ඒක නවත්තනවා.
වගකීමකින් කියන්න ඕනේ මේ.
No, I wish to responsibly state that this decision was made a few hours ago. Even I attended a rally yesterday. Do not connect both of these situations. We had a rally last week as well.
එපා ගිය සතියේත් එකක් කළා.
During the past few days, we saw how supermarkets were emptied and people flooded to buy stocks of food because of the fears of the coronavirus. But do we really have to worry about a shortage of food or other essential items because of the coronavirus? Minister Bandulu Gunawardena assured that it is not necessary to panic about a shortage. Let's listen to what he had to say.
There was a situation where everyone started to stock up essential goods out of panic. Yesterday, I engaged in a tour of the Fort wholesale market to get an understanding about the prices of products. There are ample stocks of essential goods for the upcoming New Year season. By next week, the prices of certain essential goods will reduce further. There is no shortage of anything. Stocking goods will only result in a loss rather than any profit or benefit.
එනිසා රැස් කර ගැනීමේ කිසිදු අවශ්‍යතාවයක් නැහැ.
රට තුළ හදිසි අවස්ථාවක් ප්‍රකාශයට පත් කර පාර්ලිමේන්තුව නැවත කැඳවීමේ සූදානමක් පවතිනවද?
පාර්ලිමේන්තුව නැතුවට
Though Parliament is currently dissolved, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa along with the Cabinet has managed this situation well. The President is not of the view that such a situation will arise.
එවැනි තත්ත්වයක් ඇති කියලා ජනාධිපතිතුමා විශ්වාස කරන්නේ නැහැ.
Airports and ports are two main locations where a large number of people gather. We have a certain understanding about the situation at the airports and the process that they have set up there to avoid people coming into the country with the coronavirus. What is the special program at ports? This is what Sri Lanka Navy had planned.
The Sri Lanka Navy, in collaboration with the Suasaria Ambulance Service, Firefighting Unit of Colombo Harbour, Harbour Health Service and doctors from the National Quarantine Unit, conducted a drill at the harbour yesterday to rehearse standard operational procedure that could be adopted in the event of transferring a suspected COVID-19 contracted patient from a ship to the relevant hospital or shore and quarantining a particular area on the land. Chemical, biological, radiological and nuclear emergency response team is on standby 24/7 to prevent COVID-19 from entering Sri Lanka through ships that enter Sri Lankan seas.
There are cruise ships that are entering Sri Lankan waters. However, no passenger will be allowed to disembark. Sri Lankan nationals arriving in the island from overseas will be sent to a quarantine center, and we have already made the necessary arrangements for this. A special program organized by the Navy together with the Port Authority, is in place to respond when a passenger on board has tested positive for the virus. So far, we have not had to deal with such a situation. We were informed yesterday that 2 such cases were reported in Galle. However, they did not test positive for the virus.
You and I use public transport on a daily basis, be it traveling to work or traveling back home. Trains and buses are commonly used by the general public, but how safe are we in public transport when it comes to the COVID-19? News First inquired into this matter.
Around 15 million people in this country fulfill their transport requirements through public transport, while approximately 500,000 people commute by train. Around 7 million people travel by public buses. We inquired from bus drivers and conductors as to whether the instructions issued to the relevant officials to disinfect public modes of transport was being implemented.
So far, it hasn't been implemented. We hope that it will be carried out in due course. No steps have been taken to that effect. We continue to operate as usual. We pass 5 provinces while travelling between Polonnaru and Matara, but nothing has been done. It would be good if handles are disinfected once every hour or 2. Even today, the government has to close airports. It is sad to see that the people have to face the brunt as a result of the conduct of the rulers.
News First also inquired from the subject minister Mahinda Amaravira about the preventive measures you and I can take when it comes to ensuring the safety in the transport system.
We have instructed our officials to disinfect buses and trains. If necessary, we have asked to obtain the assistance of the security forces in this regard. We understand that some officials have several responsibilities as well.
In a latest development from the international arena, a newborn baby has tested positive for coronavirus in what is thought to be the youngest case of the disease in the United Kingdom. Foreign media reported that the child's mother, who was taken to a North London hospital days before the birth, with suspected pneumonia, has also caught the virus. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump, the leader of the free world, has declared an emergency, a national emergency, to provide more money to fight the pandemic that has killed 41 people in the United States.
Trump also announced a partnership with the private health sector to create more test kits, and that drive-through testing centers will be open in certain areas where people can get swabbed for the virus without having to leave their automobile. Trump, who previously was pictured standing near a visiting Brazilian official who has tested positive for the virus, said he himself would be tested fairly soon, but did not plan to isolate, noting he was suffering no symptoms.
Are you being selfish by not getting tested and potentially
Well, I
exposing?
didn't say I wasn't going to be tested.
Are you going to be?
Most likely, yeah. Most
When do
likely.
you think
Not for
that'll
that reason,
happen?
but because I think I will do it anyway.
Will you let us know
Fairly
the
soon. We're
results?
working on that. We're working out a schedule.
Louisiana became the first state in the United States to postpone a scheduled presidential primary election because of the ongoing coronavirus outbreak. The virus has also spread to several countries on the African continent, with Kenya, Ethiopia, Sudan and Guinea all confirming their first cases yesterday and today. Some countries around the world have now taken the extraordinary step of closing their borders with neighboring states or ordering everyone entering their country to self-quarantine. India reported its second death from coronavirus. The patient was a 68-year-old woman with diabetes and hypertension and died in the country's capital, New Delhi. As a result of the spread of the virus, a startup firm in India's southern Kerala state has launched 2 robots to spread awareness about the fast-spreading coronavirus that has killed more than 4,000 people worldwide. The Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, which oversees the Philippines capital and its surrounding districts, has announced that it's imposing a curfew in the metropolis from tomorrow. There are now 6 deaths and 64 confirmed coronavirus cases in the Philippines. Thailand reported 7 new coronavirus cases today, bringing the total number of cases in the Southeast Asian country to 82. 1 person has died so far. New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern said that everyone entering the country from midnight on Sunday must self-isolate for 14 days in an effort to contain the spread of the new coronavirus. An extraction from China's infectious disease information system shows the death rate according to all cases since the beginning of the outbreak through February 11, 2020. Colombian President Ivan Marquez has ordered the border with Venezuela closed as part of the country's coronavirus containment measures. As of Friday, there were 9 coronavirus cases in Colombia and at least 2 cases in Venezuela. Cambodia has announced a ban on the entry of foreigners from Italy, Germany, Spain, France and the US for 30 days. Qatar's health ministry has confirmed 58 new cases of coronavirus, taking the Gulf state's total number of infections to 320. Poland will ban foreigners from entering the country from tomorrow and impose a 14-day quarantine on its citizens returning home in a bid to curb the spread of coronavirus. Italians have been singing from their balconies across the country in an effort to boost morale during its nationwide lockdown. Meanwhile, a plane load of medical supplies, including masks and respirators, has arrived in Italy from China to help the European country deal with its growing coronavirus crisis. The outbreak risks overwhelming Italian hospitals, and some key supplies are running low.
Speaking about the current situation in the country, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa says that the country must act in unison and in a responsible manner when it comes to fighting against the COVID-19.
We as a country must face this challenging situation. I would like to note that the President and the government are also ready to face this epidemic. We are able to provide the medical and health facilities that people need without any delay. I reiterate that the government has a proper program in place to face the situation. You need not harbor any unnecessary fear about this. Medicine, food, health facilities, fuel and clothing required by the country for the next few months are in order. This is a moment where we as Sri Lankans should use our maturity and knowledge in dealing with this situation. As a nation, we will follow medical instructions. I request all to refrain from gathering up during this short time period. As a government, we will not hide anything from the public. It is for the safety of everyone that we have to set up a coronavirus task force to provide the people with information on patients, the situation of the deceased or any other relevant details. Therefore, I request all not to panic by believing various information published by social media. When a patient is identified, it is against humanity to look down upon the patient's family members. Forcing the government to remove quarantine and treatment centers from a certain area is also against humanity. If a fellow citizen is faced with a difficult situation, I request you to be empathetic and feel what that person would feel. This is what I think is the right thing according to the religion I believe in. As a nation, let us stand together in the face of this disaster. We are a nation that faced more serious situations than this.
In a tweet today, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi proposed that the leadership of SAARC nations chalk out a strong strategy to fight the coronavirus. The Prime Minister added, and I quote, "We discuss via video conferencing ways to keep our citizens healthy, and together we can set an example to the world and contribute to a healthier planet." Now, responding to this proposal, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa said, and he thanked initially the Indian Prime Minister for his initiative and said that Sri Lanka is ready to join this initiative and the discussion to share our learnings and best practices and to learn from other SAARC members as well. Now, meanwhile, the 33 Sri Lankan students who were flown back to the country from Wuhan, China, have penned a letter to President Gotabaya Rajapaksa thanking the President for making a straightforward decision and for the effort that he made in bringing them back to the country. The students in their letter to the President also expressed their regret over the various demands and allegations made by Sri Lankans arriving from overseas when it comes to the quarantining process. A special period ceremony organized by the Citizen Media Network for the protection of the public is currently underway at the historic Kalaniya Rajamaha Viharaya. We spoke about a situation in the United Kingdom where a newborn baby was also contracted with the coronavirus. It was also reported by the World Health Organization that elderly population is more prone to the virus. So we do not have an excuse as to why we should not keep ourselves safe and healthy. It is our responsibility, once again I would like to remind you that it is our responsibility to take personal responsibility to make sure that we take all preventive measures so that we can take our country away from this virus. That's it from me for now. Arundhati, it's back to you.
Thank you, Asra, for bringing us that comprehensive report. Moving on to other local stories, an official at Sri Lankan Airlines said due to a technical issue, flight UL 505 from Colombo to Heathrow Airport was diverted to Muscat, Oman. Passengers said the flight had landed safely. Thereafter, arrangements were made to send 300 passengers in different flights since the flight was being repaired. Now, meanwhile, leader of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya, Sajid Premadasa, convened a media briefing at the party headquarters today.
Several political forces have joined hands to suppress our political force. They are trying to throw us out of democratic politics. It is the public who has the right to vote. They are carrying out various conspiracies to terrify the Samagi Jana Balawegaya by trying to deny the people of their right to vote using various backdoor techniques and through deal politics. Since we are associating with the public, those who are unable to do that are making plans in their air-conditioned rooms to stop our mission through deal politics. We will defeat deal politics through democratic and legal means. The best friends have struck deals and formed alliances. The only way to defeat all of this is through the people's power.
මේ ගජමිතුරු ඩීල් පරාජය කරන්නට පුළුවන් එකම ක්‍රමය තමයි ජන බලය ජන සවිය සහ ජන ශක්තිය.
කවුද මේ ඩීල් දේශපාලනේ නියුක්ත වෙන්නේ? ඒ කියන්නේ ඔබතුමාලාගෙන්ම කැඩලා වෙන වෙලා ගිය පාර්ශවයේද කවුද මේ?
මං හිතන්නේ ඉදිරි පැය කිහිපය තුල
I think in a few days all will be able to find out who is trying to defeat us through conspiracies. This deal conspiracy will come out in a few days. That is why I revealed all of this now, before they come up with their deals. I reiterate that we will face these challenges and will defeat them.
මේ ඩීල් කුමන්ත්‍රණය අනිවාර්යෙන්ම පරාජය කරනවා කියන එක ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා.
ඒකත් පාර්ලිමේන්තු මන්ත්‍රී නාම රාජපක්ෂ මහතා ප්‍රකාශ කරලා තියෙනවා මේ කොරෝනා වෛරසය හේතුවෙන් අද දිනේ සිට දින 14කට හම්බන්තොට දිස්ත්‍රික්කයේ මැතිවරණ කටයුතු වලින් සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම නවත්තන්න කියලා. ඔබතුමාලාට ඒ වගේ තීරණයකට යනවා කොහොමද?
මට ඔබතුමාලාට කියන්න තියෙන්නේ සති 5කට පෙර මම පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ කොරෝනා
5 weeks ago, I pointed out the risks associated with the coronavirus. Knowing this, why did they dissolve Parliament when it could have continued until July or August? They dissolved Parliament as they thought that getting 2/3 majority was more important than battling the coronavirus. During a meeting in Navi Savella, leader of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya, Sajid Premadasa, stated that he will contest the upcoming general election from the Colombo district. Today, most of the public representatives have attended this rally without succumbing to threats. I wish to thank you for that. Firstly, I wish to state that I hope to contest the upcoming general election from the Colombo district.
166 candidates belonging to recognized political parties and independent groups have placed their cash deposits to contest the general election.
9 independent candidates have deposited their cash bonds from the Gampaha district. 150 independent candidates from 22 electoral districts and 16 candidates from recognized political parties have deposited their cash bonds so far. One candidate belonging to a recognized political party from the Gaul district, 3 candidates from the 1 electoral district and 2 candidates from the Batikla district deposited their cash bonds by this afternoon. Meanwhile, Newsfirst received numerous complaints citing that several eligible voters had not been able to exercise their franchise during the presidential election as their name had not been included in the electoral register. As a responsible media institution, we request all eligible voters to confirm whether their name has been included in the electoral register and to file a complaint with the National Election Commission if the name has not been included in the list. Voting is your right. No one has the right to prevent you from exercising it.
In news overseas, Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates is stepping down from the company's board to spend more time on philanthropic activities.
He wants to focus on global health and development, education and tackling climate change. One of the world's richest men, 65-year-old Gates, stepped down from his day-to-day role running Microsoft in 2008. One of the world's richest men, 65-year-old Gates, stepped down from his day-to-day role running Microsoft since 2008. Announcing his latest move, Gates said the company would, I quote, always be an important part of my life's work, unquote, and he would continue to be engaged with its leadership.
The 141st Battle of the Blues between Royal College Colombo and St. Thomas's College Mount Lavinia ended in a draw today.
St. Thomas's College scored 369 for their first innings yesterday at the expense of all wickets and was followed by Royal College, who scored 282 for the loss of 8 when they declared. On the batting end today at the SSC, St. Thomas's College scored 127 for the loss of 5, ending the match in a draw at the end of the day. The Player of the Match award went to Charlene Demel from St. Thomas's College, earning 90 runs and 2 catches. The Best Batsman award was grabbed by Ryan Fernando of the School by the Sea, scoring 104 runs. Gisham Balasuri of Royal College was awarded as the best bowler for his remarkable 6 wickets for 110 runs. Ahan Wickramasinghe of Royal College took 2 runouts, earning the award for the best fielder. Having won the encounter in 2019, St. Thomas's College retained the DSN Anayaka Memorial Shield as the game ended in a draw.
And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of Primetime News. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Arundhati Mudanaka, together with our interpreter this evening, Taraka Gabriel. Good night.